DETV News is powered by DART, Delaware's transit service. Moving forward.
Tonight, a domestic dispute escalates to an officer-involved shooting. We have the latest. Plus, a historic black church in Delaware is vandalized with racial slurs. And one of Delaware's own becomes a James Beard finalist. Those stories and much more straight ahead tonight on DETV News. Good evening and welcome to this DETV News Brief. I'm Matt Ford. Thanks so much for being with us tonight. Here's what's making headlines today. A bill that would significantly increase the state's oversight of healthcare costs here in the first state has drawn opposition from providers. House Bill number 350, sponsored by Delaware Speaker of the House Valerie Longhurst, addresses rising healthcare costs, though greater oversight of hospital finances.
We had to do something. We as legislators had to find solutions to difficult problems, and that's why HB 350 was introduced.
If passed, the law would create what's called the Diamond State Hospital Review Board. The 5-member board would review hospital budgets on an annual basis to ensure that they align with the state's health spending benchmarks. In 2018, Governor John Carney and the legislature established healthcare spending benchmarks, which called for costs to rise 3 to 5% annually. Speaker Longhurst says costs have been increasing 9 to 11% in recent years. Also, Delaware consistently ranks among the most expensive states for healthcare. Longhurst says that Delaware pays more in healthcare costs compared to Vermont, which has created a similar review board. She asserts that the review board will help drive down costs and result in greater transparency and accountability to healthcare costs. The speaker continues that the bill has the full support of the General Assembly and the governor, and she expected to pass in this legislative session that ends June 30th. But groups such as the Delaware Healthcare Association oppose the bill, saying it might actually curtail access to services. Dozens of doctors, nurses, and other healthcare workers spoke out against the bill on March 27th at a public hearing at Legislative Hall. Longhurst said there is some misinformation circulating about the bill, that healthcare jobs will be lost, and that, quote, politicians will be making medical decisions.
I don't think fear-mongering in this situation is a good avenue to go. I think coming to the table and having a discussion, I've asked them to come to the table and come up with some solutions, and they have yet to do that. I am hopeful that in next week that they are going to come together with us and have a conversation on, some ideas or suggestions that they have, because it's not sustainable what we're currently doing right now.
Next up for the bill is a meeting next week with hospitals to see if some common ground can be reached. The bill will be considered by the Appropriations Committee on April 17th. And in other news, a 25-year-old man who was shot by police early Thursday morning during a domestic dispute call fled the scene in a stolen police car. With police in pursuit, Tyrese Knuckles led police on a chase, ultimately crashing the car on I-95 in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. The incident began around 2:30 in the morning when Newcastle County Police were called to the Sinwood Club Apartments near Limestone Road for a domestic dispute. Knuckles fled the area on foot but was located nearby a short time later. During a struggle with police officers, an 8-year veteran of the force shot Knuckles. The suspect was able to flee in a fully marked police car, colliding with several other police vehicles along the way. After the crash, the suspect again ran from the scene but was captured and taken into custody. He was transported to a hospital for a gunshot wound and injuries sustained during the crashes. A 3-year veteran of the Newcastle County Police was admitted to Christiana Care in stable conditions for injuries sustained during one of those initial crashes. The officer who discharged his firearm has been placed on administrative leave per department policy pending an internal investigation, as well as a joint investigation with the Delaware Department of Justice. Limestone Road at Milltown Road here in Delaware and I-95 northbound at Exit 4 were shut down due to these accidents. This remains an ongoing and active investigation. And new today, a Newcastle County jury convicted 20-year-old Israel Lecomte of 2 counts of first-degree murder for the deaths of Quentin Dorsey and Matima Miller in the summer of 2021. Lecomte, associated with a violent teen gang, faces a life sentence without parole for the killings. The trial, which lasted 3 weeks, revealed evidence linking him to a series of crimes, including robbery and non-fatal shootings, allegedly tied to gang feuds here in Wilmington. Defense attorney Adam Windett highlighted discrepancies in witness statements, but was unable to sway the jury, which delivered a guilty verdict on all counts. His sentencing is scheduled for later this year. And switching gears here, an historic black church that dates back to 1813 was vandalized over the Easter weekend. St. Daniel's Community Church of Iron Hill is the oldest known surviving free black church that was built as part of the African Union Church movement in northern Delaware. The church was targeted with racist graffiti scrawled on the exterior and a broken window. Inside, the heat stopped working, worrying church leaders that someone had tampered an outdoor propane tank, prompting the congregation to move Easter services. Though they may have moved out for Easter, Pastor Joseph Field says the church is here to stay. The church was recently listed on the National Register of Historic Places. It served the community of free blacks who lived in the Iron Hill area prior to the Civil War. And when 36-year-old Amand Nicholas Liu drove to Tidbury Park on April 2nd to meet a 14-year-old girl he had apparently romanced online, well, he got quite a surprise. Instead of an inexperienced teenager, the Dover Air Force Base technical sergeant, he was met by an undercover federal agent. He was arrested on charges of attempted coercion and enticement of a minor. The U.S. Department of Justice had posted a phony profile of an 18-year-old claiming to be new to dating and was matched with Liu. Well, a conversation ensued, moving to their cell phones and becoming more sexual as time went on. The fake persona texted Liu that she was not 18, as the profile stated, but, quote, almost 15. Liu responded that they could still be friends, and talk became more sexual in nature, with Liu describing sexual acts he wanted to perform with the supposed young girl. Liu faces up to 10 years if convicted. And staying in Dover now, police are investigating attempted robberies at 2 separate vape shops overnight. Police say the first occurred just before 1:30 a.m. Thursday when they were called to Cosmic Smoke on South DuPont Highway. There, authorities say they discovered a suspect who had thrown rocks at a window attempting to gain entry, but was unsuccessful, and then he fled the scene. The suspect is described only as a male on a bicycle wearing a surgical face mask. Then, just after 2 a.m., police were called again to a glass break alarm at First State Vape on North DuPont Highway. Officers found 2 men running from the store, and they were able to chase down one 15-year-old suspect. Police were unable to find the second suspect, however. The 15-year-old was charged with a number of offenses before being turned over to his guardian. Police say the investigation into the first attempted burglary at Cosmic Smoke is ongoing, and they ask anyone with information to contact them at 302-736-7130. And it will be a fairly light day on May 14th for school board elections, with 19 candidates filed to run for 8 seats around the first state. Last year, 43 candidates ran for 23 open seats across 16 school districts. The ballots are light because a number of districts have board members whose terms are up but are running unopposed. In those cases, there will be no election. Polls are open on the 14th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And beach access at Delaware Seashore State Park will be temporarily limited as the Delaware Department of Natural Resources and Environmental Control continues work in response to the March 26 dune breach that flooded Route 1. DENREC has added sand to the north side of the Indian River Inlet since the dune initially breached, and a spokesperson said the reforfeited dune had held so far. Some sandbars have also been returned with the tide. DENREC is continuing to receive sand for the dune and says they will add it once they are able to remove the large marine debris that have washed up when the dune breached. Rusted metal and rebar has already been found in the sand, according to DENREC. and a volunteer cleanup will be organized to remove smaller debris once the larger pieces have been removed by DENREC. And for the first time in its 34-year history, a Delaware chef is nominated as a Best Chef finalist in the Mid-Atlantic James Beard Award. Matthew Kern, the chef and co-owner of Fenwick Island's One Coastal, has received 2 Beard nominations, but never as a finalist. Called the Oscars of Food, the James Beard Awards are the biggest and most prominent competition for chefs nationally. Kern previously whipped up his culinary masterpieces at Heirloom, which was also celebrated for superior quality food. In 2022, Kern and his wife Karen bought One Coastal. It's a farm-to-table spot off the beaten path on the barrier spit of Fenwick Island, close to the Maryland border and the Atlantic Ocean. The idea behind the restaurant, according to Kern, was to support local responsible farms and to showcase the seasons. The awards will be held in June in Chicago, where the winners will be announced. Well, here's another winner, Shakira Denise, and I hope that she is bringing some sun with her, because I think I can speak for us all, Shakira, when we are so tired of this rain.
We are tired of the rain. I'm wearing pink today because I'm channeling my inner sunshine and spring, right? Okay. Good evening, DETV fam. I hope you are enjoying your week. And like Matt said, despite all this rain we're having, it's going to be great. We're going to get some relief. So let's just check out what this weekend's weather forecast is going to be. On Friday, we're looking at partly sunny to mostly cloudy skies with highs near 50 degrees. Now, as we move into Friday night, don't put that coat away because you're going to need it. The temperatures will dip down to around 37 degrees. Now, on Saturday, we'll start off with partly cloudy skies in the morning, but expect clouds to increase as the day progresses. Now, wrapping up the weekend on Sunday, it'll be generally sunny, despite a few afternoon clouds with a high of 56 degrees, and again, cold temperatures at night. Now, despite the cooler temperatures, there are some hot, exciting events happening this weekend that you don't want to miss. On Friday, April 5th, you want to head over to the Queen to hear Wilmington's own Cherry Park with the Carryways and Avery Hirsch. Cherry Park is a Delaware-based dream pop group, and they'll be showcasing their own music. But wait, you don't want to leave the Queen because there's something coming up that evening. You want to stick around for the No Scrubs 90s dance party in the evening, where you can dance it out and have a good time while listening to your favorite 90s songs. Make sure you visit the Queen's website for ticket information. Now, speaking of Queen, I know we have some Queen Bee Beehive fans out there. So on Saturday from 6 to 9 p.m., the Wilmington Brew Works is hosting a Cowboy Carter listening party. I've heard the album. It's fantastic. So for all my fellow Beyonce fans, you can expect dancing, discussions about the album, some light bites, and of course, Beyonce-themed drinks. Now, this is going to be so much fun. Make sure you check it out and don't forget to dress the part. So you have to come in your best Cowboy Carter outfit and have a good time. After a weekend full of dancing and fun, why not treat yourself and the family or your friends to a delicious meal on Sunday? Head over to Harry's Savoy Grill and Ballroom for their mouth-watering 3-course Sunday dinner. You can choose between a Caesar salad or New England clam chowder, followed by a chef's cut prime rib with whipped potatoes, and finish off with a delightful creme brulee for dessert. I'm hungry now. So there you have it, DETV fam. With these exciting events and tasty dining options, you're all set for a fantastic and fun weekend. You can thank me later. Back to you, Matt.
I'll thank you now. That's a whole bunch of good stuff going on. Thanks, Shakira. And now on Monday, April 8th, you may have heard, a large portion of the country will be able to witness a total solar eclipse. The last time this occurred was in August of 2017. Usually there are a couple of solar eclipses per year, but most are partial, and it's rare for the sun and moon to align perfectly for a total eclipse. According to NASA, the totality of the eclipse, which is when the moon completely covers the sun, will only be actually for about 4 or 5 minutes, so you don't want to miss it. But the moon will be covering some of the portion of the sun for a few hours. Now here in Delaware, we'll be able to see the eclipse from about 2 to 4:30 in the afternoon. Besides the visual sensation, people watching outdoors will experience a sharp decline in temperature. Now, I want to talk about safety. Special glasses are needed, which can be ordered on various websites. Just make sure not to buy some of those fake ones that we've been seeing circulating around the internet. and that are just slightly tinted. You want to make sure that what you get is called ISO certified glasses. NASA has put out a list of vendors that are selling the approved glasses, and you can find that list on NASA's website. And a bartender from Newcastle is $150,000 richer this week after claiming her prize in the Delaware Lottery scratch-off game called Platinum Payout. The 39-year-old woman, who chose to remain anonymous, I don't think I blame her, purchased a winning ticket from a store called Tobacco Time in Bear. The woman shared the news with her boyfriend first and is still deciding how to use those winnings. Her secret, you ask? Well, she says she started playing the Delaware Lottery when she was 21 years old and typically buys 5 tickets at a time. And speaking of winnings, the Powerball jackpot now sits at a whopping $1.23 billion. The jackpot, which now ranks as the 8th largest in U.S. lottery history, has been growing for more than 3 months, reflecting the long odds of 1 in 292 million of winning that top prize. Since the last player won the jackpot on New Year's Day, there have been 40 consecutive drawings without anyone matching all 6 of those numbers. The $1.23 billion prize is for a sole winner who chooses to be paid through an annuity of 30 annual payments. Winners almost always prefer the cash option, which for the next drawing on Saturday night would be an estimated $595.1 million. It's still not too bad, in my opinion. And before we go tonight, if you had plans to attend that Made in America festival in Philly Labor Day weekend, well, you might want to look for a plan B. The festival has been canceled for a 2nd year in a row. The festival announced the cancellation this week. A specific reason was not given. In August of 2023, just 1 month before the festival was scheduled to take place on the Ben Franklin Parkway with Lizzo and SZA as the headliners, Made in America announced the festival would not happen, quote, due to severe circumstances outside of production's control. The festival began back in 2012. Shakira, have you ever been to Made in America?
I have not.
I haven't been either. But when I told you it was canceled before the show, I felt like you were maybe gonna go.
Yeah, I was a little bit upset. Only because it's the 2nd year in a row. We just don't know what's going on.
And we just don't know what's happening. Maybe it'll come back next year.
Maybe, but I'm going to get the Powerball ticket.
You're going to get the Powerball ticket, good. And I purposely put in the news to make like the name of the game that she won for scratch off, and her secret is that to start early in life to play and to buy 5 tickets at a time.
Okay.
So I think she's on to something.
I think she is too.
Perfect. And you'll share your winnings, I hear.
Okay, well, it's getting late.
Well, that's going to do it for tonight's edition of DETV News. Be sure to follow us across all of our social media platforms.
And for a look at what's happening all around Delaware, take a look at our website at detvch.com.
That's right. From all of us here at DETV News, I'm Matt Ford.
And I'm Shakira Denise. We'll see you next week.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
We don't talk about prostate cancer enough, and it's the most diagnosed form of cancer and the 2nd most common cause of cancer death among Black men in both Delaware and the United States. Approximately 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime, but just by asking your healthcare provider if you should get a screening could help you detect prostate cancer early and save your life. So let's talk about it. Talk to your healthcare provider today about a prostate cancer screening if you are 40 years of age or older, or have a family history of prostate cancer. If you don't have insurance, or if your insurance doesn't pay for cancer screenings, Screening for Life may provide you with the screenings that you need, and Nurse Navigators make this process easier. To learn more, visit healthydelaware.org/prostate or call 211. Ask your healthcare provider about a prostate cancer screening, and you're asking for so much more.